it is officially their worst run of form for some 71 years. And Dawes, you've watched their last couple of games with us, midweek soccer special, PSV, and of course a week ago you're watching them, that defeat to your old team, Nottingham Forest, at Anfield. Are they now as a team broken?
Completely. And I think Arne Slot has to strip everything back and get back to basics and try and get the best out of these players. And I'm not talking about quality. We know there's quality in there. I'm talking about running harder than the opposition, tackling harder than the opposition, putting everything on the line to keep the ball out the back of that net. I watched them a week ago against Nottingham Forest, and for the first 30 minutes, they were brilliant. They thought this is the Liverpool that I expect to be seeing. Then in the blink of an eye, a goal goes in for Nottingham Forest. Murillo scores it. Another set piece, being so poor. Virgil gets the first contact, it falls. And from that moment, they just never responded. And that, for me, is a team that is short of confidence, it's short of belief. And you just see them, they are down on their knees. And it was exactly the same in midweek against PSV. And we're talking about a team going to Anfield in the Champions League and getting beat 4-1, humiliated. And it was like that last week. You know, they're always in the game, but defensively they're just so easy to play against. And they conceded a goal in midweek against PSV after 7 minutes, and I'm thinking, wow, I sat before it and I thought they'd get back to winning ways. But what happened if they went behind? And that happened. And they responded really well. For 40 minutes of that first half, they got the goal, got back into it, and very good. And at half-time, I thought there was only going to be one winner. I really did. I couldn't see PSV coming out and having a response to what Liverpool had shown. How wrong was I? I could not believe that performance in the second half from some of those Liverpool players. They lie down, they give up, and that is unacceptable for a Liverpool team to get beat 4-1 at home in the Champions League against a PSV. And that is why they are broke. And I think he has to make changes. He has to go back to basics, bring Robertson in, bring Joe Gomez, who's been injured, take Kirkes out, take Canati out the firing line and the heat, and just try and bring a little bit of belief back.
And Tim, Jamie Carragher has had his say this week, and he's been pretty strong on Arne Slot. He says, in his opinion, he has 1 week to save his job. You look at the games he got, West Ham away tomorrow, then Sunderland at home, and then Leeds United away. You look at last season, comes in, takes over from Klopp, wins the Premier League at the first time of asking, and then over the course of this summer, he's had to navigate himself and the squad through the loss of Diogo Jota. We haven't reached that stage already, have we, where he's got a week to save his job? Surely not.
No. On the back of what he done last season, I think we're absolutely not there. But I agree with Jamie. If we hadn't won last season and they lose the next 3 games, no one can survive as a Liverpool manager. But he's got a history of winning. Done brilliant last year. They won it at a canter. There's something not right. It's an accumulation of things, I believe. It's a new player, it's integrated him in. It's obviously the Jota factor. I think it's the main factor. I really do. I think they've all got to get together now. They really have to get their heads together. And the body language is really poor. So when they're conceding goals, I see a lot of the players, when you look around and see them throwing their arms up in the air and blaming each other, they cannot do that. The whole world is looking at them at the moment. It is disastrous, their form. But they're capable of turning it around. But they have to all get together. The manager, the coaching staff, all of the players, all of the academy, the whole... Every one of the staff at their training ground needs to be together on a siege mentality of everyone's against us. We need to turn this around. That's the only thing we can possibly do. I think they're capable of doing it. I really do. I think this year's a mulligan for him. I think they give him a free pass for this year. If they don't finish in the Champions League spot, I think by the beginning of next season, he has to start flawlessly, otherwise he will get sacked.
But if they reach a point this season where we're just finishing inside the top 4 and the Champions League place with all the finances come with it as well, and they're just a club that you expect to be in the Champions League, does that then become a decision point for the owners in terms of his future?
I think they will finish in the Champions League, but you're saying if they don't finish in the Champions League, I think it's a...
If it starts to look impossible this season, they drift away that much.
Yeah, but I don't think we'll get there. I really don't. I think it has been poor. I can't steer away from that. It has been very poor. I think he needs to, like I say, he will not... No one will be trying harder than that man to try and put it right. He won't be able to catch his breath. He will go home at night. He won't be able to sleep. You know, he will live it, and he'll know that his team are underachieving, and it's his job to make them perform. Now, I think we have to also look at him and thinking, how hard did he take the Jota news. It's all right for everyone to look at the manager and say, Gaffer, lead us. And that is his job, of course it is. But I think emotionally, he might be broke as well from the loss of Jota. I think a lot of the players will be. I think when you look at the likes of Virgil and Salah, the experienced players, and Robertson. I mean, Robertson, one of the biggest moments personally for him was qualifying for the World Cup, Scotland. But the first thing on his mind was Diogo Jota.
Yeah.
You know, so it is at the forefront of their mind. So I don't think we can underestimate the impact what that has had on the group of players.
So, Boydie, where are you on this? If he gets to the end of these next 3 games and they've been way off it, they've continued this poor run of form, where for you does that leave Arne Slot?
I think if you lose the next 3 games to West Ham, Sunderland and Leeds, then there's going to be left with no choice, because you're then facing Inter Milan in a Champions League, and then you're facing Brighton in the league, who we know can cause teams problems as well. So I think for Arne Slot, and we keep hearing about a manager or a head coach, how does he deal with it? He's never had to deal with this in his career, because his career since he started coaching had just went up and up and up and up. Now all of a sudden they're facing a period where, I mean, this is the first time in his career he's faced adversity. In terms of the results, he will be looking for help as well. It's easy. I think you know, the more experience you get and the older you become, you'll have periods where you lose games and you then understand how to deal with it. This is the first time he's ever faced it. You know, when you look at AZ Alkmaar, then he went to Feyenoord, he's came to Liverpool, and I mean, everybody keeps saying it was Jurgen Klopp's team. Well, if it was Jurgen Klopp's team, why did he not win the league with you? Arne Slot deserves enormous credit for what he achieved last year. I mean, that was Liverpool's 2nd league title in 35 years. Don't underestimate how big an achievement that was. Are they maybe ahead of schedule because of what they've done last year, and now you're looking at it, they've dropped off? The new players haven't helped. There's no getting away from it. They haven't helped. I think they've added players in positions that they didn't really need. You know, the Luis Diaz factor and the shift that he put in that left-hand side last year. We speak about the vulnerability in the Liverpool full-back area right now, and the 2 centre-backs being exploited. What a shift. Maybe not so much Mo Salah, but on that left-hand side, Luis Diaz was the protection he gave Andy Robertson. Kerkaz has come in. I don't think Kerkaz has had that this year. The amount of money it was paid for Isak, Wirtz, they're struggling. They are struggling. Maybe it was too many players at the one time. I don't think any has sat here in the summer and said that the players coming into Liverpool were bad players, but they are struggling right now.
But the players have been there a long time.
And the other thing is as well, Tim, when you look at it, usually when you're in a dressing room and you're bringing players into a dressing room, when you're bringing new ones in, you're looking saying, right, OK, can we go again? They've struggled, so the ones that are already in it are maybe looking saying, they're not as good as what. And then, to what you're saying, they're looking saying, can they help the new players to settle? But the Diogo Jota, everything that's, you know, the players that were already there might be going through as well. So, listen, it's an accumulation of absolutely everything that is leading to this run for Liverpool. But as Michael touched on there as well, when you're going on about a coach, and the coach will be the one who'll be at the brunt of it, but he can't make people run harder. You know, what do you do as a coach? Like you said, the first period of time that they came out, they were out the blocks, they were firing, they were in their faces, and then they stopped doing that at second. That's not on the coach. No. There's no way at half time you're going to and Arne Slot's turning around and saying, listen, job's done, don't run about.
And that's where you talk about confidence, Boydie. That confidence goes out.
You don't need confidence to run about.
Exactly. And when people are running past you and you're switching off for a second and these kind of things, that goal where if it goes down the left-hand side past Mo Salah, that is so basic. Yeah. That's just like, someone else will deal with it. He goes past him and then he gets inside Kerkez's individual errors, they're getting punished.
And that's worth exploring more, Sue, because you look back at PSV midweek. I mean, you'd have to say Ekitike, one of the few bright spots this season, and Szoboszlai. He's been setting the standards.
Yeah.
But even there was a moment on Wednesday night where last season we spoke so much about that engine, his ability to get up and down for the whole game, where he just almost gives up in terms of tracking back. So unlike him, wherever you look in terms of Liverpool at the moment, there are so many problems that Arne Slot has got to find solutions for. If you were going to highlight his biggest problem right now, what might that be for you?
Wow. I think that's the problem, that it's a combination of absolutely everything. I don't think you can particularly highlight one thing. I think we've gone through the new players coming in, taking time to adapt. We've spoken about, the Jota factor and how that's affected the manager, the staff, the players. I just find the whole situation bizarre. I think we look at the start of the season where we were just thinking Liverpool were just going to continue. They were going to, push on again. They've brought in all of these new fantastic players. Yes, they've lost players, but they've brought in amazing players that are just going to add to the team. And they were going to go again. And you looked at the first 5 games, weren't at their best, but they won all 5. And you were thinking, OK, they're going to build from here. And it just didn't happen, but you could see those frailties. And I just think as the games have gone on, those frailties have got probably more so, So you've looked at certain games with Liverpool. If a team sits back, they're defensively sound, they're well organised, Liverpool have struggled to break them down. They then know that if they then hit Liverpool on the break, if they go direct with the balls, if they're, strong at set pieces, pretty much what Nottingham Forest are very good at, what PSV are very good at, they struggle, and you look, there's gaping holes in those full-back areas. So, yes, they've had injuries in both of their right-backs. Szoboszlai's had to fill in at that right-back position. He'll invert. So there's massive holes there, isn't there? And that's where teams are very much exposed. In Liverpool, Kerkez has struggled. The 2 centre-backs have struggled. Konate probably has had his
As an Everton fan, how much
season.
are you enjoying it, though?
I'm not, absolutely not. No,
I think it needs to come to a stop, and it starts with the manager. The manager has to get everyone together. New players, don't look at the old players. The old players, don't blame the new players. Whatever's gone has gone. Now we need to wipe the slate clean, and we need to show how good we are. But also, more than that, we need to show the non-negotiables, the character, the ability to drive and take this great club forward. The fan needs to help them now. I think they will. I think they're fantastic supporters at Liverpool Football Club. I believe they will turn it around. I just think they need a little bit of, obviously, a lot of confidence, but just one step at a time, and I think they're capable of going on a run.
Tim, we keep speaking about confidence. Confidence comes from running harder, going and causing your opposition down, force them into mistakes. Like, nobody's just going to turn around and say, oh, there's Mo Salah, he's struggling right now. Oh, we'll go and let him dribble past us and take us on and smash it. They need to get back to his basics, running hard on the opposition, because you see it all the time, and top players get praised for what they do with the ball. But there's one thing about them as well, they work their socks off. They worked hard, and that's what Liverpool done last year. Szoboszlai going to right back as well is an issue for them, because it's not only that, it's what they miss in the middle of the pitch.
And just to pick up on things defensively, which you've talked about already, but it was a point that Carragher made in his column this week. We've seen a fair one. He charted Liverpool's drop-off in terms of standards to last season, when the trophy was secured, not the moment they lifted it, but before that. And since they were confirmed that they were going to be the Premier League champions, they conceded 29 goals in the next 16 games since then, 1.8 per game. And you look at the transfer policy, you look at the fact that they chased Isak so hard, and yet Ekitiko so far has been the shining light up front. That defence needed some attention, and Mark Gay didn't arrive. And there's been a lot of talk about Richard Hughes, the sporting director, in the last week. Everyone's saying about Slot bringing in his new players, it's not worked. Well, I mean, if you believe some reports, Slot didn't want Diaz to depart. It was Richard Hughes who was pushing for that. So you wonder whether in terms of the summer they were just strengthening in the wrong areas, Dawes.
It's easy in hindsight. I think we can sit here now.
But weren't the signs already that defence needed attention?
I think we were saying, well, where's Gay going to play, weren't we?
Yeah, no.
Well, will he sit on the bench? Is he happy sitting on the bench? That's why he should stay at Palace. That's what we was all saying. And all of a sudden now, we're all geniuses because they're conceding goals, and we're saying... Well,
that's why we said in hindsight, it's easy because...
But the point Jamie Carragher's making, the signs were already there towards the end of last season.
Yeah, we have a drop-off because you've won the league. I can see that when you go back to it, but they would not expect to be so easy to play against and give so many opportunities up. And Konate to have such a dip in form, it was remarkable. They let Kwanzaa go to Leverkusen. He's gone there and done well. Joe Gomez is injury-prone, unfortunately for him. They bring Leone in. He then does his ACL. So he wasn't the answer straight away because he's still a young kid. But they would have looked at this position and go, it's going to be Konate and Virgil van Dijk. I think the Trent Alexander-Arnold one is a huge one. They haven't got a right-back in the building that's fit. Bradley's injured. Frimpong probably isn't an out-and-out right-back. He's more attacking.
But he's injury-prone as well, so you're running that risk.
But Trent was more attacking. We said Trent can't defend, but what he'd give going forward, he put Szoboszlai there last Saturday. Midweek, they put Curtis Jones there, because, like you said, Boydie, they lose that attacking option in Szoboszlai. His creativity is remarkable. So everything's easy in hindsight, and to sit here and go, we should have signed Mark Gay. They should have signed Mark Gay, non-negotiable. They should have gone out. You've spent 130 million on Isak, 70-odd million Ekitike. But you may as well have spent the 50, 60, 70 million on
Gone
Gay.
for one of those.
And they wanted to, by the
100%.
way. Let's not pretend they didn't want to. They wanted to sign.
Yeah.
Just left it rather late.
Yeah. So in hindsight, completely, they should have signed Mark Gay.